Welcome to Living Local with Lori Johanneson. Hi, I'm Lori Johanneson, and today on Living Local, I'm happy to be sitting here with Austin Mitchell. Austin is a past client of mine, and I'm really excited that he has started a really awesome career change, going from medical sales into being a financial planner. And that says so much because his ability to connect with people and relate to people, whether it's talking about a medical device, which I think that's an interesting profession in and of itself, is exceptional that you've made this transition. So Austin, if you don't mind sharing a little bit more about your business and how you're different than all the other financial planners or wealth planners or whatever it is.
I'd love to. So yeah, I appreciate it, Lori, and thank you so much for having me on today. And I think, one of the biggest misconceptions in this industry is that, number one, you need to have a lot of money in order to work with somebody that can really help you with your finances. And what I'm starting to see so often from so many people, Lori, is, I'll have someone come to me that's in their 40s and go, you know what, Austin, had I started this in my 20s, my life would be completely different than it is today. And, what I always like to kind of tell younger people who are just kind of starting out, having life-changing events, getting married, having children, there is no time too early to start. And I always like to mention too, time is either your greatest asset or it's your greatest liability. If you're using time as an asset, starting early makes all the difference in the world.
Right.
I don't think I'm really blowing anybody's mind right now by saying compound interest works. I think it's something that's obviously very well known, but taking advantage of it and actually doing something with your money early on in your life is just so important. And so I think what I always like to tell my clients is, number one, the goal is to educate you on what it is that you need to do so that you can make the informed decision yourself.
Right.
I personally, my approach isn't that, a financial advisor or a financial professional such as myself tells my client what to do. I think being someone who educates so that you can make that informed decision is the most important piece. And then most importantly, my role is to just be someone that holds my clients accountable, kind of make sure that, not to say, hey, this is what you need to do, but to make sure that the goals that you're telling me about, I'm just making sure that the ship is staying on course.
Yeah. Education is such I didn't mean to interrupt, but education is such a big component. And a lot of people think you're sales and people look at me as sales. No, sales they come from making smart decisions.
Correct.
And nobody ever wants to be sold on anything. And so tell me a little bit about the difference between how your company operates versus like if I just wanted to go to my bank and say, hey, can you put aside, $100 a month into a savings plan for me?
Absolutely. And I think the best way to answer that, Lori, is the fact that we're a fiduciary firm.
Okay.
A fiduciary is someone who is legally responsible to act in a client's best interest.
Okay.
And I should preface by saying, not every firm is a fiduciary firm. And so carrying that responsibility is something that we don't take lightly. And so when you meet with us, what we're going to do is we have a very agnostic approach where we kind of look at your goals. We start with where you want to go and we work backwards from there. And so that's something that's different. It's not a transaction. This is a relationship. And so, when we talk about working with somebody, you're going to be disclosing a lot of goals, a lot of very personal, deep information with someone like me.
Right.
And so I want to make sure that this is a relationship. It's not a sale. It's not a transaction. It is a long-term relationship.
Right.
And so, when we talk about building these plans, I think the most important thing is really starting with what that goal is. And again, life happens. Things come up. There is no straight line to any of these goals. And I think when you work with someone like myself or with anyone else in my firm, quite frankly, you're not getting a 1-800 number. And I think that's something that's different than if you were to go to a big box firm, right? Or you're just going to a bank where you work with somebody, but you're not going to get their personal cell phone number.
Right.
That is something that you would get with working with someone like myself, is when life happens, when things come up, when life gets emotional, you can call someone like me and you have my direct line and we can work through it together.
Right. Which is so important. People want to truly feel like they're being cared for, that they can work with somebody that they trust and knows is going to do a really good job for them and is in it for the long haul. Whether it's you just graduated college and have your first job, And you need to start setting up, 401ks and things like that at different companies. And there's no pensions anymore, and that I'm aware of. Not many jobs you get out of college anymore has a pension,
Right.
but there was a reason that companies set them up a long time ago. It's, again, to your point earlier, is if you start early, and it doesn't matter how much, it can grow. And if you're working with somebody who's going to educate you on the best plan, I think that's what I was super impressed when I sat with Austin when he was sharing his job venture and the experience he not only has gained, but the people he is surrounded with, and continues to surround himself with from just other professionals, and being able to how to properly guide them in their their financial planning, and hopefully real estate.
Absolutely.
all things, because they're all big financial decisions, and making sure that you're with the right person to trust. So,
And Lori, I love that you brought up pensions. So just to kind of touch on that real quick, that is one of the number one issues that I see today is yes, of course, I like working with the younger population as they start to change their lives and have all these events. But the other side of the coin is the fact that there is a retirement crisis. I don't think I'm really blowing anybody's mind with that either. There is an issue out there. And
yeah,
I think, companies, there used to be that security of knowing that, hey, I have my pension, right? I can
right,
fall back on this.
right,
And such a select few have that today. And so now, companies have realized how expensive those pension plans are. And quite frankly, the reason is healthcare, right?
right,
Because people are living longer now with things that used to kill them a long time ago.
right.
And so these things have gotten really expensive. And so now companies, as great of a tool as a 401k can be, they've tied that pretty little red bow around it and said, hey, here's your new pension. And unfortunately, it's not the same thing.
Right.
So I think there is that little bit of a shift in both the financial side of things, but also the way that we need to think about this. And so if we can plan with the end in mind, we can kind of get out ahead of that thing and really make sure that, hey, we're putting the right vehicles in place now so that we're avoiding that down the road.
Yep. So it doesn't matter if you're just getting out of college and getting your first job, or you are finally establishing yourself. Austin is not only a great financial person, but he is a great person to get to know. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of Living Local with Lori. Please remember to follow us on our social media channels, as well as livinglocalwithlori.com.